And so we should, we'll just say good morning, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Saturday Zoom.
Welcome, everyone. Glad to see your face this
Hello.
morning, Linda and Mary.
Same here. I love your hair. It is so beautiful. I love the curl and the blonde, and it's just like,
Thank you.
you look like you're in your 30s.
Totally different person.
I am remotely talking to you guys from the cutest farmhouse in New Hampshire. This location, they actually raise grass-fed, grass-finished beef, pork. They have turkeys and chickens, and not sure what else. Farm fresh eggs, and they gave us some eggs for breakfast and some milk. Not sure if they do the milk here, but it's so cute. And this farmhouse is connected to the main house where the family lives, but we're just on, we're on one big building, but we're on one side of it. But we have 3 bedrooms, and it's just
Nice.
so quaint and charming, and I love it. And absolutely quiet. There's nobody else around. So
Wow,
yeah, we're enjoying
that's
it.
pretty cool.
Of course, to go anywhere, it's at least 15, 20 minutes, because it's all farmland, but it's nice. And we're going to the wedding this afternoon, and it's at a big old barn that a fella, I guess he bought the property and transformed it. He's got
Nice.
lights strung all on the inside of the barn, every which way. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's why I'm here. That's why we're remote, and that's why I can't go live in Facebook today. But we're going to proceed anyway and pretend that there are millions of people listening in, wanting to know about the endocrine system. I don't have anything diffusing today. I didn't bring a diffuser. I'm wearing oils. I put on my oils all over me, but
I didn't turn my diffuser on yet either, because like I said, I got here kind of in time to hop on with you earlier and
right.
forgot all about it.
Yep. Mary,
Woke
save
up
it.
and filled all 3 of my diffusers
Good
and
What you got
turned
in
them
them?
on.
Awesome.
Lemongrass in the bathrooms. I love it. I
Ah.
just love it. And
It's so fresh.
yes, even better than lemon. I don't know what that
Mhm.
grass is doing, but it's good.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
like
of course
lemon on
cinnamon and orange.
steroids.
Yeah,
I
and my
got
living
cinnamon.
room.
I want to diffuse. I should have put in this morning the new Luscious lemon oil. I didn't open it yet to start diffusing it, but I can't wait to start. And I
Yes.
forgot to do that this morning, like I said, because we were gone and got home just in time here.
I can't wait to get home and open my convention box, because it came, like, we left the house at 6 a.m., but I think it came on Wednesday sometime. So I'm excited to go and open all that stuff. So yes, it's a lovely day for talking about the endocrine system. And my daughter just finished a workout. She'll be popping in to make me breakfast. And so, like, I've heard of different body parts, but I think, like most people, unless you're in the medical field or unless you do the actual research, you don't know what these different organs and glands and things do. The whole endocrine system was sort of a mystery to me. And getting involved with essential oils made me I heard a lot about endocrine disruptors. That's not good for your endocrine system. That's an endocrine disruptor, and that's going to mess with your hormones. But that's just talk, right? That doesn't, it's like the warning on the bottle or the label, but you don't really know what's going on. So we decided to investigate a little bit further into what is this endocrine system and how does it work? And, why should I care? And I think you should care anything about your body, because otherwise you're just taking for granted that everything's working. And when you know more, you do better, right? And you start to take care of these things and avoid illness, sickness, disease, all of that stuff, because you're educated about yourself. So because I apologize, this being a short week and me being away, and I've been doing wedding preparations for and helping set up the wedding, I haven't had a lot of time to like memorize this or even make it ingrained in my own head about what this is.
That's
So
why
I'll
we
be-
have notes, right?
we have notes. I'll be reading a lot today. So
Me too.
so first of all, that whole endocrine system is really a network of glands in your body that make the hormones that help your cells talk to each other. They're responsible for almost every cell, organ, and function in your body. Okay. And we always go, oh, it's that person's hormones, you know, when your kids are, you know, in that tween age, and their hormones are kicking in, but our hormones are kicking in all the time. It's just not our reproductive ones or the ones that are changing. So let's see. If your endocrine system isn't healthy, you might have problems developing during puberty. Well, I had no problems there. Getting pregnant. We've talked about that before, about the infertility rates that are crazy around here. I mean, like America. Managing stress. You might gain weight. Your bones might get weak, or you might lack energy because like there's too much sugar in your blood and your body has to work a lot harder to balance the sugar. So the functions is that they make those hormones that control your moods, growth and development, metabolism, organs, reproduction, sleep, and it controls how those hormones are released. Sends those hormones into your bloodstream so they can travel to other body parts so that those body parts know what to do. And there's 8 different glands that secrete these different hormones throughout your body. And again, these are glands that I've heard of before. But if somebody had asked me what they do, I'd be like, I don't know. I might not even know tomorrow when you ask me. Who knows? My brain's fried today. So I think I can share the picture. I have it here, but I think if I can bring it up on the screen. Hopefully I have, the Wi-Fi is good, but it gets a little weird if I try to do other things on here, but I'm going to try to share my screen. And first I have to see if I actually, nope, cancel that share. I think the first thing to do is actually bring up. Oh, which I already did. Here. Here. All right, let's see if this works, if I can share. Give you a better idea. Nope, that's not where I want to share. Very different working on a new computer. I apologize. Application. All right, here we go. Can you see it? Girls, am I still with you?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
on there.
All right. So the first one is the hypothalamus, and that is in the brain, and it the organ connects your endocrine system with your nervous system, and its main job is to tell your pituitary gland to start or stop making hormones. And so the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland and the pineal gland are all in the brain. The pituitary gland is sort of your master gland for the endocrine system. And it uses the information it gets from the brain to tell the other glands in the body what to do. And it makes many important hormones, including growth hormone, prolactin, which helps breastfeeding moms make milk. There's an antidiuretic hormone and one that controls blood pressure, helps your body control water balance. And through its, let's see, there's a couple of other very technical ones there. Helps stimulate the adrenal gland to make certain hormones, the thyroid stimulating hormone, and I think it's just all the pituitary gland is all about getting those hormones made and getting them out. Okay. The next one also in the brain is the pineal gland. And this is the one that makes the chemical hormone melatonin that helps you get to sleep. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. The thyroid gland makes the thyroid hormone, which controls your growth and metabolism. And if it doesn't make enough, you could get hypothyroidism, or if it gets too much, you could get the hyperthyroidism, right? Your heart might race, you could have diarrhea. Oh, that's joyful. And you could lose weight without trying with the hyperthyroidism. And then the hypothyroidism, it's hard to say, you would, that would slow things down and cause weight gain. So if you experience a sudden loss or a sudden gain of weight that you can't really explain through food or dieting or exercise, you might want to have them examine your thyroid, which is right in here. So that's why a lot of times doctors are going to check this out too, to see if there's any inflammation there. Behind the thyroid is another set of 4 small glands called the parathyroid, and they play a role in bone health. So those people who maybe are having problems with calcium or phosphorus, that is due to the parathyroid. Let's see, we're almost done here. Thymus, okay? The thymus is not one that is used in adulthood. It's really one that kids use, or children as they're growing. It makes white blood cells called T lymphocytes that we talked about 2 weeks ago when we talked about the lymphatic system. And they fight infection that is crucial as a child's immune system develops. And then that thymus starts to shrink after puberty. So I probably don't have one anymore, or it's shriveled up to like a raisin. 3 more, there's the pancreas. And the pancreas is both part of your digestive and your endocrine systems. And it makes digestive enzymes that break down food. And it also makes the hormones of insulin and glucagon, and they ensure you have the right amount of sugar in your bloodstream and your cells. So it's your pancreas that is at fault or damaged if you have diabetes, because you're affecting that insulin, the amount of insulin and how your body processes it. Your adrenal glands are best known for fight or flight hormone. And these also make hormones called corticosteroids. They affect your metabolism, heart rate, oxygen intake, blood flow, sexual functions, among other things. And I have a note about the pancreas, which should have gone up before. So the adrenals are like under your rib cage, just below your rib cage and above your hip.
Kind of on top of the kidneys. Is that where they're at?
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like right at the top part of your kidneys on your thing here.
And then the last glands that are contributed to the endocrine system are the reproductive glands. So the ovaries in women and the testes in men. And so you can understand that if you are disrupting this endocrine system, how that can affect fertility, right? Or sex drive or performance or whatever. So as you get older, it's natural to notice that some things are that are going to be changing with your endocrine system. And I'm going to stop sharing here so we can see faces again. Your metabolism slows down. That's a natural part, but I think there are things that you can do to keep boosting that and not let it. I think we just slow down as people as we get older. So because it's a natural tendency, you may notice that you gain weight, even if you haven't changed how you eat or your exercise routine or anything like that. Hormonal shifts also explain, at least in part, why you're more likely to have heart disease or osteoporosis, or type 2 diabetes as you age. But I really don't think that that's a prescription. Like, I don't think that just because you're old, you're going to get those things.
No.
I think there's lots of ways that you can keep your body healthy. And so I'm not going to go into those hormones right now. Kathy, I've been talking up a long time talking
that's
about
all right.
these
But I
different
think,
glands. So
some of the ways to keep your endocrine system healthy is do all the things that you would do normally just to keep your body healthy. Eating right, exercise, getting enough sleep, drinking your water, all those common sense things are all things to also help us with our endocrine system, as well as avoiding some of the endocrine disruptors. So I'm just going to talk a little bit to start off with about the dirty dozen of endocrine disruptors and what they, can affect or how they affect your body. So BPA is one. And sometimes people say that, the most sincerest form of flattery is through imitation, but we don't want a chemical used in plastics imitating our sex hormone estrogen in our body, right?
so is that like somebody coming in and taking your credit card and stealing your identity?
Maybe.
Something like that. Like, you don't want
Yeah.
that to happen. And that's what these chemicals do, like the BPA.
Right, I believe so. And BPA has been linked to everything from breast cancers to reproductive problems, obesity, early puberty, heart disease. And so the best thing to avoid BPA is to go fresh instead of using canned food items. So many of the food can items are lined with BPA and other chemicals. And, when you go to the store and you get that paper receipt, how we all love that paper receipt. Well, that paper receipt has BPA in it. Yeah. So it's better to have those thermal paper receipts. Instead of that, have them email you your receipt if possible, or
Wow.
text it to you or whatever.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and also when we were at I know I've said this a few other times, when we were in that all natural alternative cancer institute in Arizona, they said, don't collect those, thermal paper receipts, because those can disrupt your hormones and can trigger things with cancer as well. So stay away from that stuff, okay? And, but not all plastics contain BPA, but many do. So do your research on that. Another thing is one of the 12 dirty dozen is dioxins. Dioxins are a multitasker, but not a multitasker in a good way. And let's see, I'm sorry, I'm, got a little
Nope,
sidetracked
that's
there.
fine.
But their dioxins are formed in the process when chlorine and bromine are burned in the presence of carbon and oxygen. So these dioxins can both affect male and female hormones. And they're also, if you're pregnant at the time, research shows that even low levels of dioxin in the womb and in early in life can both permanently affect sperm quality and lower the sperm count in men during their prime reproductive years. And they are bioaccumulative, so they build up in your body and they last a long time. And they can affect your immune system and your reproductive system.
Wait, I want to go back to what you said, because that just blew my mind. You said something about that they can be present in the womb. So babies are born with this?
If the parent was exposed to the dioxins build up in your system. So it can build up in the womb as well.
And
Because of
transfer
the-
to the baby?
And transfer to the baby. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because they're very long-lived in your body and they build on each other. It keeps
So
building.
if I'm just kind of thinking about this, so like you could be doomed from the start, from birth, about whether or not you could be affecting your child's fertility if you're, oh,
So you want to be careful.
no wonder
for-
we're having such a crisis with fertility, with
Exactly.
infertility at this point.
That's what I'm wondering too. After I read that, I
Wow.
went, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Wow. And so
So
you said it's chlorine and bromine burned in the presence of carbon and oxygen, but what does that mean in layman's terms? Like, how do we get exposed to dioxins?
I think when they're producing these dioxins to use them in certain products. So I think that's when that's formed. Or maybe they add that together. I didn't go deeper into that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you're talking about the next thing. I'm just going to look it up and
That's
see
okay.
how do we get exposed to those.
Okay, and it says how to avoid it. It's pretty difficult since I'm going into industrial release of dioxin has meant that the American food supply is widely contaminated. Products including meat, fish, eggs, butter, and are most likely to be contaminated. But you can cut down on your exposure by eating fewer animal products. There you go.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, the next one is atrazine. And it's a highly toxic chemicals. What happens when you introduce highly toxic chemicals into nature and turn your back? For one thing, feminization of male frogs. So this atrazine, whatever this is, has had male frogs be more feminine. So researchers had found that the exposure, even at low levels of this herbicide, atrazine, can turn male frogs into females that produce completely viable eggs. Are you kidding me? I've never even heard of atrazine until I pulled this up. Have you?
No, that's totally crazy. It can turn male frogs to females that can produce eggs, and
That's crazy. Atrazine is widely used on a majority of corn crops in the United States. And consequently, it's a pervasive drinking water contaminant. It's been linked to breast tumors, delayed puberty, prostate inflammation in animals, and some research linked it to prostate cancer in people. So how do we want to avoid this dirty one of these, this atrazine is buy organic produce and get a drinking water filter certified to remove atrazine. I didn't know there was a such thing as that either, to have a specific type of filter that will remove that.
I'm learning so much. I'm taking notes furiously today.
That's why I wanted to pull up this dirty because I thought this is going to be the best one. The next thing are phthalates. We've all heard of phthalates. They're, and phthalates can, hang on a second. Phthalates can trigger what's known as death-inducing signaling in testicular cells, making them die earlier than they should. That's weird, huh? That they're going to shut down cells and kill them. Studies have linked phthalates to hormonal changes, lower sperm count, less mobile sperm, birth defects in the male reproductive system, obesity, diabetes, and thyroid irregularities. And how can you avoid this? A good place to start is getting rid of your plastic food containers. Some children's toys contain phthalates, and some are already banned in some of the kids' products. You can find phthalates in plastic wrap made from PVC, which has a recycling label number 3. They're in some of the personal care products contain phthalates. So make sure you read the labels to avoid them. And some products that are listed added fragrance. Okay, so in the United States, companies are allowed to use the term fragrance, and they don't have to tell you what is listed as far as that, what chemicals are listed in that fragrance. It's all under the umbrella of fragrance on the label. So yeah, that's kind of scary, isn't it?
Can I go back to dioxins
Sure.
for a second before we get too far away from it? Dioxins are mainly byproducts of industrial processes, but they also can result from natural processes such as volcanic eruptions and forest fires. They are the unwanted byproducts of a wide range of manufacturing processes, which include smelting, chlorine bleaching of paper pulp, and the manufacturing of some herbicides and pesticides. In terms of dioxin release into the environment, uncontrolled waste incinerators
So maybe
are
that's where
often the worst culprits due to incomplete burning. And many countries monitor their food supply for dioxins, and this has led to early detection of contamination and has often prevented impact on a larger scale. I don't know if that involves the United States. Let's see. So dioxins are found throughout the world in the environment. Highest levels of these compounds are found in some soils, sediments, and food, especially dairy products, meat, fish, and shellfish. Very low levels are found in plants, water, and air. So it's the animal products that they find the largest amount of this dioxin. So just thought I'd throw that in there while we could. So
wow, that's great. I mean, it's not good, but it's good that we know that.
right.
So the next one of the dirty dozen of endocrine disruptors is, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Linda might have to help me, perchlorate.
Sounds good to me. I'm not looking at the word, so I'm spelling it the way you say it. So then it's perfect.
Perchlorate. Okay, and what that is that, I mean, the next sentence after that heading said, who needs food tainted with rocket fuel? Yes,
Rocket
that's
fuel.
right. Perchlorate is a component in rocket fuel. It contaminates much of our produce and milk, according to the EWG and the government test data. So when this perchlorate gets into your body, it competes with the nutrient iodine, which the thyroid gland needs to make thyroid hormones. So basically it means that if you're ingesting this perchlorate, it ends up altering your thyroid balance. So this is important because we need the thyroid to help regulate the hormones in
Your metabolism.
Yeah, for metabolism in adults, and it's critical for proper brain and organ development in infants and young children. So how do we reduce that in your drinking? So you can reduce it in your drinking water by installing a reverse osmosis filter. So it's pretty much impossible to avoid perchlorate, but you can reduce its potential effects on making sure you're getting enough iodine in your diet. So eating ionized salt is one of those.
All right, so add iodine. But is there a way to avoid it? I mean, how do you avoid rocket fuel getting into your food?
Yeah, I don't see that yet here. Yes. So we'll have to do a little more research on that.
Right.
Too.
Beth, can you, just so you know, because you usually have your earbuds in, I can
Talk a
hear a
little
lot
louder?
of the paper. No, you're loud enough.
Oh.
The paper on the computer
Yeah.
is like deafening.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just,
I
you
didn't
know.
realize that. I'm like,
I know, of course you didn't.
because normally I don't hear that.
Right.
Okay, the next thing is fire retardants. So of course, we all know that was a major chemical in a lot of children's clothing way back when. Remember in the little sleepers, the kids' sleepers, it would always have fire retardants in it, or in your drapery or carpeting and
The
you know, all
Halloween
that stuff
costumes.
when it was
I
big.
remember it always saying on the Halloween costumes, fire retardant.
Fire retardants. So let's see, in 1999, some of the Swedish scientists studying women's breast milk discovered something totally unexpected. The milk contained an endocrine disrupting chemical found in fire retardants. And the levels have been doubling every 5 years since 1972. So this chemical is known as polybrominated. Okay, well, we'll go with PBDEs because I can't pronounce all these things, but have been found to contaminate the bodies of people and wildlife around the globe, even polar bears. So this chemical can imitate thyroid hormones in your body and disrupt that activity of your thyroid hormones. It can lead to a lower IQ, among other significant health effects. And several kinds of the PBDEs have been phased out, but this doesn't mean that the toxic fire retardant has gone away. So it's still around. Okay, a few things you can do to, in the meanwhile, you can use your vacuum cleaner with a HEPA filter on it. So like I said, it was probably in your carpet too. When you vacuum and you have that HEPA filter in there, that'll help cut that down on the, and which it can also cut down on the toxic laden house dust. So it says another thing here is to avoid reupholstering foam furniture and take care when replacing old carpet because the padding underneath that can also contain the PBDEs. So all these things that we thought were so good for our home and keeping us safe, we are now finding out years later that they're not really safe at all. That's the thing. Lead is another one. And we're not talking about, our heavy metal music lead. But lead is a heavy metal that you want to avoid, of course. It is known to be toxic, especially to children. Lead harms almost every organ in our bodies, in our organ system in our body. It's been linked to many health defects or had many staggering health effects on you. It can include permanent brain damage, lowered IQ, hearing loss, miscarriage, premature birth, increased blood pressure, kidney disease, and nervous system problems. It also can disrupt your hormones, and it can lower your sex hormone levels. And it can also disrupt the hormone signaling that regulates your body's major stress system called the HPA axis. I haven't heard of the HPA axis. Have you, Linda?
Say it again,
Like-
HP?
HPA axis is the major stress system in your body called HPA.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Okay,
We'll
so
have to
especially
investigate.
when this stress system is impacted or whatever, it can cause high blood pressure, diabetes, anxiety, and depression. And how do you avoid that? It says keep your home clean and well maintained. You know, so the crumbling old paint could be a source of lead exposure. So you need to get rid of it carefully. Make sure you're wearing the proper masks and the proper things to keep yourself from being even more exposed to this. And add a water filter that can reduce your exposure to lead in your drinking water as well. Okay, the next one of our dirty dozen is arsenic. When I think of arsenic, I think of all those old movies where, you know, they put arsenic in something and somebody drinks it and they're going, ah!
Arsenic and Old Lace. That's a great play where these two old ladies put people out of their misery. You know, like a sad person comes in and they're like, oh, they're so sad. Let's help them. And they give them arsenic and then they bury them in their basement. But they're two old ladies doing this. It's very funny.
Oh my gosh, they think they're doing good for them. And
yeah.
Okay, so arsenic, it says this toxin is lurking in your food and drinking water. You can, if you eat enough of it, arsenic will kill you outright. Well, we already knew that from all these old movies, right? In smaller amounts, though, arsenic can cause skin cancer and bladder and lung cancer. Arsenic messes with your hormones as well, and it can interfere with your normal hormone functioning in the cortical,
yeah, that's the word I stumbled on
That's
earlier.
the word you stumbled on earlier, system that regulates our body's process of sugars and carbohydrates. It's also been linked to weight gain or weight loss and immunosuppression, insulin resistance, which can lead to diabetes, osteoporosis, and high blood pressure. So the way to reduce this is by using a water filter that lowers arsenic levels. So I think we better all invest in a really good water filter.
Yes.
Because
I'm sorry, I'll get Denise on here someday because she's got a water filter. She's got some knowledge on that to talk about.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Crazy. She also has an air filter, so maybe we get her on talking about those things, ways to.
We only have
reduce.
a few more, 3 more. So mercury is one of them. So that wonderful sushi you're eating could be hazardous to your health. Mercury is naturally occurring, but it's a toxic metal. It gets into the air and ocean primarily through burning coal. Eventually, it can end up on your plate in the form of mercury-contaminated seafood. So I think that's why when women are pregnant, they tell them not to overdo the seafood because it can cause it can cause problems with the fetal brain. It can interfere with the development of the brain. Mercury is known to bind directly to one particular hormone that regulates the women's menstrual cycle and ovulation, interfering with normal signaling pathways. Hormones don't work so well when they have mercury stuck to them. So this metal, mercury, may also play a role in diabetes, since it's known to damage the cells of the pancreas and that produce insulin, which is critical, of course, for the body's ability to metabolize sugar. So how to avoid it? People who still want to eat seafood with lots of healthy fats, but without side of toxic mercury, go for wild salmon.
That sounds counterintuitive.
But if you're doing wild caught.
Well, no, that mercury is, if it's in the environment and then we're catching the wild fish, you would think that they would have it. So do you understand? I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But how come farmed fish has more chance of having mercury than the wild?
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's what they say. That's what your recommendations are, right there that you found. to eat,
Yeah, that's weird,
eat
isn't it?
wild caught versus farmed.
And I think too, for all these things, I have in another article here, which we'll post the link to it. So we don't run over on time here, but there's a link in there, or there in one of the articles, it says to eat lower on the food chain. So you don't get, like you're not consuming a lot of the things that cause issues to your endocrine system. So especially in the sea, if you're eating a fish that is not a large fish that eats other fish that eats other fish, because then that large fish is eating another bigger fish that ate some other smaller fish. So now all that mercury is compounded into the bigger fish.
Well, if you have, 5 different fishies and the small one ate a little, then the next one ate a little bit and then ate them, then they're getting their fish. and
Exactly.
so
That's
on,
why
and
it
sort of
says
a
eat lower on the food
bioaccumulation.
chain. And it's also saying that as well for other foods too, which like I
Yeah,
said, is
makes
in another
sense.
article.
Right, that just
About,
makes
you know-
sense, because the larger the animal, the more things that have been consumed indirectly as part of the food
Exactly.
chain, that and all of those different levels could have those toxins, and then the larger animal is going to have the greatest concentration of those
Right.
chemicals.
Right. And even when you're not eating fish, as far as your meats go, you want the grass-fed, grass-finished. But if you're eating the conventional type meats and all, trim the fat off, because a lot of these things are stored in the fat, a lot of the toxins.
Ah,
I mean, yes, it's in the meat, then the fat of
but
that
it's really
animal,
in the fat. Yeah.
they
Okay.
have a lot in there as well.
Good.
Okay, our next
I
one
am
are
learning so much.
PFC. I know, isn't this, I mean, as I said, I have all these other articles that we won't get to, but I can put the links in there so people can read those.
Yeah, there's so
Well,
much
as well.
information, you can get
There's
lost.
so much information. The next thing are PFCs, perfluorinated chemicals. They're used to make non-stick cookware. So these PFCs are so widespread that,
That's all you can buy half the time, unless you're really aware.
right,
right?
so the type of things, and they
because
also, there's other
want
things that complete that.
convenience.
I'm sorry, there's also other chemicals in the nonstick cookware, like PFOAs, that don't break down in our environment. So that's in there as well. And all these things, if you're cooking on those types of, that type of cookware, it can leach into your food. And the PFOAs and the PFCs can cause, they've been linked to decreased sperm quality, low birth weights, kidney disease, thyroid disease, high cholesterol. It can also affect sex hormone levels. And how to avoid it? Skip the non-fat or the non-stick pans. Go to
Yeah.
stainless steel or ceramic coated ones. Get rid of your
Even
water
those.
resistant clothing, because the water resistant coating on clothing and furniture and carpets also contains the PFCs or the PFOAs. But they do have a number of different ceramic pans out there that I found that are pretty nice. One of them I think is, what was the name of that? Gotham pans. I think they're free from the PFCs, PFOAs, and 2 other things that are very common with nonstick. So this is more of like a harder, I believe it's a hard ceramic type thing.
Yeah,
But
I did some research on pans a while back to see what is the best type of pan
Stainless
to
steel,
use
cast
to get
iron.
it away. And it's really stainless steel, because even
Yep.
I can't remember directly, but even the ceramic coating has some
It
kind of
gets
a warning
scratched.
attached with it.
Yeah, you don't want to use anything that gets scratched, because then it will
It
leak
releases
out
the
into your
chemicals.
food.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That was the major thing with that. Look, there I go again with my paper scratching on
My daughter's making eggs right now in a Teflon pan. Now I'm like,
oh no,
I
as
can't
long as
eat
she
those
doesn't
now.
scratch the pan. The other thing too is using
kidding.
those
I'm gonna eat
black
them.
the black utensils, the plastic black or whatever kind of utensils. Oh, that looks delicious. They can also
my
have,
daughter.
because if they're made from recycled materials, that could also cause issues if you're using your plastic spoon in something hot, maybe stirring a pot of sauce, or if you're using a spatula in a hot pan, you know,
Mhm.
the black coated ones, you don't want to.
Yeah,
so
you have to be
it's,
careful about your
kinda-
utensils.
Right.
What
And the
about cast iron? Is that
Cast
mentioned in
iron
here?
is
Cast
supposed
iron's
to be
good.
one of the best too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Cast
use
iron and
cast iron.
stainless steel.
Very heavy.
I always
huh?
have a hard time, like, what is it you have to do to the pan? Sizing it or
Seasoning it, I
Oil.
think,
seasoning
something
it.
like that.
I
Oil.
have a hard time with that, but I use that from time to time. I have that as well.
I can't get over you just wipe it out and let it go and stick it in your oven to clean it, you know.
I know.
I
have
don't
a
know.
hard time.
I know it's killing everything. Once you put it in the oven, it burns everything off, kills everything after you just kind of wipe it. Because you're not really supposed to put those in dish soap, is what I heard. Is that true? I don't have one.
No,
I don't
you're
put
not,
it in this
because then you
stuff.
have to season it all over again. But
Okay.
you know, like I have some of those Pampered Chef pans that you're not supposed to.
The stones, yeah.
They're stone ones. And I have a hard time not using a little bit of soap on those to get the residue off, because I just like.
I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
So I have to go through the oiling and put it, yeah, me too. Organophosphate pesticides, they're neurotoxic. So, these neurotoxic organic
Crazy.
phosphate pesticide compounds, the Nazis produced in huge amounts and quantities for chemical warfare during World War II. But we all were lucky, including them, they were never used. So that was fantastic. But after the war ended, American scientists used some of the same chemistry to develop a long line of pesticides that target the nervous system of insects. So if it targets the nervous system of insects and it's sprayed on our crops and it's sprayed on our grass and our kids are rolling in the grass and we're eating all this stuff, I wonder what it's doing to us. So it could interfere with the way testosterone communicates with cells, lowering testosterone and altering the thyroid hormone levels. That's
You know, I was just thinking, it's no wonder that we can't pinpoint a specific source of infertility because, and other diseases and things, because there are just so many factors and so many different ways that these chemicals can get into our bodies that you can't say, oh, well, it was because you didn't put a filter on your water.
right.
Or because
Exactly.
you use Teflon pans. I mean, you can't figure that out. So I think you just have to be proactive in avoiding as much as you can, because you know
Right.
you're not going to avoid all of it ever.
Right.
But the
So,
more you
I mean,
can avoid, the better.
the way we're getting all this into our systems is either we're breathing it in, we're ingesting it, or it's getting through our skin, right? You know, those are the main ways that it's entering our body. The last one is glycoethers. So
I have a napkin.
these are common solvents, paints, cleaning products, brake fluid, and cosmetics. Should we be worried about this? Yeah, because it can damage fertility of unborn children. Studies have been linked that the exposure to certain glycoethers to different blood abnormalities and lower sperm counts, and children who were exposed to glycoethers from paint in their bedrooms have substantially more allergies and asthma issues. So to avoid this, we just, let's see, it says avoid products with ingredients such as 2-butoxy, I don't know,
We better
God, I
go look
wish I
at
could
that
be-
on the, on the
Yeah, we'll
replay.
have to look. It's EGBE and methyl oxy
Yeah, we're not gonna remember
something.
that anyway, so.
DEGME. Anyway, so that's, they gotta have such, goofy names, scientific names for
Right.
all this stuff.
I think that the overall message here, and this is what I take to heart, and this is how I kind of try to live, is that to limit my exposure to any kind of toxin that may be along the way. So I've already made some changes in how I clean and what I cook with and what kind of foods I buy. And I think this conversation or this information that we've received today just goes to verify and confirm and make it more important why we do that, because you don't know where these different chemicals are coming from, and so you have to assume that they're almost everywhere. So the more precautions that you can take, I sort of just have this philosophy of trying to live toxin free as much as possible, but because I don't understand all this stuff that you just spouted at us, all of, oh, it's that chemical or it's this chemical, and you do this because of that chemical. I'll never remember all the specifics, but I will remember that, I better go grass-fed, grass-fed, grass-finished, not farmed, no farmed fish, wild-caught fish, organics are better. All of that sort of thing. I feel like scientists have done a wonderful thing for us over the years, like starting with the Industrial Revolution and then going further, and the more and more discoveries that are made and the cures and the medications and all of that stuff is really good to a point. But because what we find is, wow, they work for A. This is great. Look at all of this. But then we don't see the B until later. And the B is usually the detrimental part, the part that's going to, going to harm us in some way. And so it's one of the reasons that I haven't gotten a COVID vaccine yet, because we're all going to tout the A. Yeah, this is great. But the B is going to hit at some point. And then it's going to have a whole long list of things that are caused by these chemicals.
So I think, like you said, just eat as clean as possible. Same thing with our homes and using the products in our home. Same thing with our beauty products. I mean, in Europe has banned 1,500 different chemicals in their beauty products, whereas the United States has banned like 11 or 12. And it's not really, I mean, the FDA doesn't have the authority right now, from what I read, to ban certain things. And some of these beauty industries are using these chemicals in their products. There are some stores that are limiting certain products into their stores because they have these not so great chemicals and toxins in it. And some of them are like Target and Walgreens and CVS. Different stores like that, you're going to see some of their beauty products going off the shelf in maybe smaller areas because they're trying to limit that, because the FDA doesn't have, the regulation over what's under the fragrance umbrella or what is being put into these things, because I guess there's somebody higher up than the FDA, huh?
Right. I think the big message there is buyer beware. And buyer beware used to mean, you get what you pay for, or, you want to be careful you're not getting a lemon when you're buying a car. But buyer beware for me means know what's coming into your house, know what you're using.
Yeah, do your research.
Your environmental factors, and, be proactive about avoiding as much of the crap that is in our environments.
Yeah. Go as natural as possible on what you're buying, right?
Yeah.
What you're using.
Mary, any thoughts today?
So glad you asked. Thank you.
No, it just scared the bejesus out of me with all of
Yeah.
this stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it should, but most people are like, well, we've been eating this way for years and I'm still kicking.
Mhm.
You know, my mom was like that all the time. And my brother would always answer her and say, yeah, and look what shape you're in. You know, and food has changed over time. So
Yeah,
50 years ago, we didn't have to worry about all these chemicals, but the more discoveries are made about, oh, this one kills these pests, they use them to kill the pests without understanding the ramifications of what they actually do to our
they're
bodies.
doing to
A lot
everyone
of
else.
things, a lot of things are, like you said, developing over the years are for convenience.
Convenience.
These
absolutely.
packaged foods, frozen foods, all that's convenience and,
Yep, absolutely.
human convenience for the consumers or what we were taught we needed for convenience,
Mhm.
what they're trying to sell us in that way.
All right.
Because there's so much stuff that leaches from your food into, or from your plastic wrap, what you're wrapping your food in. Even the
Right.
take home or the takeout containers from restaurants, those have
Yep.
chemicals in it too. So
Right.
if you put
Make sure you
something warm in
never-
there, it
Yeah,
soaks right in faster than something cold.
Right. And never put those in the microwave because that would be
Right,
terrible.
never. Yeah, so you're better off just using glass containers or something like that. That's especially if you're
I
using.
did most of that. I have all glass.
Yeah,
Do
I have
you?
very little plastic. I do have
I
some
have-
plastic, but
we
very
switched
little.
over to Mary, exactly.
I salute
Yeah.
you. I need to switch over. I have a lot of plastic, but
Yeah,
all right. We are just about at the 12 o'clock hour. So I am, I'm going to curtail this because I'm sure we could talk forever about
yep, we're good.
the effects
Yes,
of all
we're
these
good.
things. And
Enjoy your
we-
vacation.
Thanks. We're not here
Yeah.
next week because it's the 4th of July weekend, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. And in the interim, Kathy and I will figure out what to talk about in 2 weeks.
All right.
Give
You
us
have a great
give
rest
us your
of the week.
suggestions if you have any. So,
Okay, take care.
Okay.
all right.
Bye, Mary.
Enjoy the weekend.
Bye, Linda.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye, Kath.